Good evening to everyone in Barbados and in the Diaspora. Welcome to this edition of DLP TV Tuesday, last day in September. And tomorrow is a day of significance in Barbados. That is when the Free Movement Initiative between four countries is due to begin. There are implications for voting, and tonight we want to discuss a simple topic: who can vote? And we've assembled a very, very distinguished panel, as we always do. And this panel is distinguished. To my right, immediate right, is Dr. Elvis Wickham. Dr. Wickham is a medical practitioner in Barbados, in private practice. He is a Barbadian, studied in Mona, Jamaica. Yes. West Indian made, Barbadian made and West Indian made. Dr. Wickham, welcome to the discussion.
Thank you. Good night, Barbados.
To Dr. Wickham's immediate right is attorney at law, Corey Greenidge. Corey has had a practice in litigation in the courts of Barbados. I think he did the criminal courts, he did the civil courts, family courts as well. He is now a corporate lawyer. Apart from that, Corey is our newly minted, if he doesn't mind me saying that, our newly minted candidate for Christchurch South, and an excellent candidate too. I think the whole country now knows and agrees on that. Corey, welcome to the program.
Thank you so much, and good evening to the viewing public.
To Corey's immediate right is, I heard this gentleman on Sunday night on the platform, and he is quite a revelation. Ensley Grainger has been a police officer, served in at the time, the Royal Barbados Police Force for many years. And then he became an attorney at law, and he's been practicing. Ensley and I met in the criminal courts. He as a prosecutor, I was a defense counsel, and now we meet on the friendly and common ground of politics on the same side. Ensley is now a practicing attorney at law. He practices in the criminal courts, he practices in the civil courts, and like Corey, he has a stint in the family courts as well, a general litigation practice, and as lawyers say, non-contentious practice. He is our candidate for St. Michael East, and I say to you, the people in St. Michael East, he is out there in the field. He is at so many houses that he is not going to see everybody at the same time, but he is in the field every Saturday, and particularly on Saturdays. Ensley, it is an absolute pleasure to have you on the panel tonight.
Thank you, Comrade Leader. Good night to viewers in Barbados and Diaspora.
Now, for those who will accuse us of having an all-male panel, that was not the intention. Let us say a special good night to Miss Verla de Peiza. Verla was supposed to be here tonight, but like all of us, Verla is very busy in the courts. Verla had an all-day session at court today, and therefore she could not join us. I tried to persuade her, but Verla is tired tonight. And Verla, welcome to viewership. We are sorry that you cannot join us tonight, but for the viewers, our own Verla de Peiza, who was the head of the team that constructed that excellent report, the Commission on Crime, that is still causing waves across Barbados. We've sent it to the government, and they say they've read it. We don't believe them, and they're trying to put together their own council, their own advisory council, which was abandoned by their former chairman. But Verla, excellent work. Welcome to the show, and we shall remember you. You can write in some messages to us and join the discussion from a distance. So let us go to the panel. Who can vote? As I said, very, very controversial topic. And it asks a simple question: who can vote? We want a legal perspective, first of all. And for that, we are going to turn to Corey Greenidge. Corey, who can vote in Barbados under the law?
Thank you very much, Comrade Leader. Well, the answer to that is pretty simple, and we reference then the Representation of the People Act. For viewership, we know that the informed that the Representation of the People Act governs the ability to vote, governs elections, how elections are done in Barbados. So Section 7 of that act tells you who can vote in Barbados. Two categories of persons that can vote. First, you have to be a citizen of Barbados, and you are eligible to be on the register of what they call electors or voters within every constituency, and then you are able to vote. There is a second category within the Representation of the People Act, and that is Commonwealth citizens as well, who are not citizens of Barbados,
Commonwealth citizens.
Commonwealth
Mhm.
citizens, and they who have resided in Barbados for at least 3 years,
Mhm.
and who immediately before they get on the register or apply to be on the register have been within the constituency for 3 months, they are also eligible to vote. Of course, they also have to be above the age of 18.
18. Can we hear that last category again? I
So
think
this
the
is-
viewers need to hear this.
Yeah, so this is Commonwealth citizens
Yes.
who are within Barbados, who reside in Barbados for 3 years.
Yes.
And then immediately before the application to be registered on the register of elector, have been in the constituency, residing in the constituency for a continuous 3 months immediately
I
before
see.
they're on the list.
Mhm.
They are allowed to vote.
Yes.
Now, this issue arose quite acutely in 2018
Mhm.
when we have, I'm not sure if our viewers would be aware, but we have a case that went before our High Court in
Correct.
2018, which was Eddie Ventos against the Chief Electoral Officer.
Mhm.
Now, what happened in that case is that Mr. Ventos applied to be on the list of electors or list of voters.
Justice Ventos, that's it. Interesting. He's now a
Justice
judge.
Ventos, yeah,
Yes.
Justice Ventos, I believe, sits in
The
Eastern
OECS.
Caribbean or the OECS court.
At the appeal court level.
I believe so.
Yes.
He has had some stints within the OECS.
Yes.
At the time, he was a professor at the University of the USA.
Yes.
So he had been in Barbados for 3 years or even more than 3
More.
years
Yes.
prior to his application to be on the list of voters. And he was residing in the constituency for 3 months prior to that date,
Mhm.
the date called the qualifying date. This
Yes.
is the date when you apply to be on the register. Initially, the Chief Electoral Officer denied Mr. Ventos the ability to be on the list and the ability to vote in Barbados. And he filed an action in the High Court
Mhm.
against the Chief Electoral Officer. Mr. Ventos was eventually successful
Yes.
because he fell within the very specific category that I gave you just now, which he was a Commonwealth
Commonwealth
citizen.
citizen.
He had been in Barbados for more than 3 years.
Yes.
And immediately before his application to become on the list of the voters, the voters list, or the
Mhm.
list of electors is called, he was within that constituency for more than 3 months.
Yes.
So the court held that he was, in fact,
Mhm.
eligible to be on the register of voters.
So that it wasn't opening a door, so to speak. It was saying what the law really was always.
Most definitely.
Yeah. So it did not change the law.
No,
It affirmed the law.
correct.
Yes.
Correct.
Yes.
So the Chief Justice at the time, Justice Martin Gibson,
Yes.
was the one who presided over that matter.
Mhm.
And it gave clarity to the law. Because,
Mhm.
and this is nothing unusual, clarity from the perspective of that the actions of the Chief Electoral Officer at the time,
Mhm.
they felt that they were within the boundaries of the law.
Yes.
And from my recollection, I believe they also had legal opinions as to the
Mhm.
interpretation of the
Mhm.
law. But what happens with law, as we know, always,
Yes. Interpretations.
it interprets and the court hands down its official interpretation.
Yes.
And therefore, those criteria of being within the country, residing within the country for at least 3 years or more,
Mhm.
he was in the constituency, living in the constituency for the immediate 3 months before his application,
Mhm.
and of course, he was over the age of 18. And that's what the law says in section 7.1 of the Representation of the People Act.
Yes.
Now,
Yes. You go on. You go on.
okay, so I think tonight this comes front and center
Mhm.
because we have, as you mentioned, Comrade, in the initial stages of the discussion,
Mhm.
that October 1st,
Tomorrow.
tomorrow, begins the initiative for the free movement of people
Yes.
within the Caribbean. Up front, I would say that this is part and parcel of the Treaty of Chaguaramas and the unity of the CARICOM.
Which established CARICOM.
This
Yes.
has been established.
Yes.
This established CARICOM.
Yes.
So this is not something that's new.
Right.
Successive governments across the Caribbean
Mhm.
have implemented parts of the
The
agreement,
treaty.
the CARICOM agreement over time.
Yes.
And this, my understanding, is just another move towards bringing greater unity. and
Unity.
greater,
Yes. Through freedom
trust.
of movement.
True freedom of
Yes,
movement. We know
yes.
that we can fly from
Yes.
one country to another, but the freedom of movement addresses your right or your entitlement
Yes.
to enter into the country as the current context.
I'm going to overwork you then, Corey.
Certainly.
Relate that freedom of movement to voting rights. Barbadians need to hear, and we have to be frank here, Barbadians need to hear what will be the rights, if any, of the people who are entitled to open our doors tomorrow and come here. Let us go there.
So, just so that our audience understands, the freedom of movement
Mhm.
is one aspect.
Yes.
But what has happened now in Barbados and the nexus to the voting
Mhm.
is that there is a bill before the Parliament currently, has not been passed as yet.
Right.
There is a bill before Parliament currently, which is the Citizenship Bill 2025. And that is what will create the nexus now for us to discuss voting along with the free movement.
Yes.
People. What the Citizenship Bill does is that it replaces the old Barbados Citizenship Bill, Chapter 186, I believe it is, of the laws of Barbados.
Mhm.
Now, I'm going to digress slightly, Comrade Leader, just
Not at all. Yeah.
That-
Go right ahead.
we have, over the last few months, over the last year, we have seen a government that has made some legislative initiatives
Mhm.
and have had to walk them back,
Drag them back.
drag them back, pull them back with all force and vigor.
Mhm.
We've had the cybercrime bill,
Yes.
which is now lost in the ether, thankfully, hopefully.
Thankfully.
More recently, we've had the wiretapping bill or the
Mhm.
interception of
Mhm.
communication
Mhm.
bill,
Thanks to you.
thanks to all of our efforts.
Yes. Yes.
And we see in that bill where the Honorable Attorney General and the Minister of Home Affairs stands in Parliament and misrepresents at best
Mhm.
the contents of that. And then you had the Prime Minister who then had to come on national television
Mhm.
and walk back certain provisions
Yes.
within the bill after or advocacy after marching in the streets by citizens.
Mhm.
And even after that bill went to the Senate, I actually attended the session of the Senate.
Mhm.
And after that bill went to the Senate, there were several amendments to the bill, even at that stage.
Mhm.
We've had the TIT legislation. This is the amendment to the Road Traffic Regulation,
Yes.
where again has been forced through the process
Mhm.
without what appears to be clear thought about the implementation or the practicality of the implementation to the Barbadian people.
They've sent it down to when now? December?
I believe it's December.
So
but
they
you've
postponed it twice.
had to
The
postpone it
uncertainty.
twice. Because it seems like you have a legislative apparatus or a government that's just pushing legislation, some for talking points, some for hurried, without
Mhm.
giving thought and critical analysis
Mhm.
to the actual contents of these bills and for the practicality of its implementation, or what seems to be how it impacts the Barbadian people.
Yeah.
I digress there to come back to say, I believe this citizenship bill will fall in the same category.
Mhm.
I believe that not a lot has been given, a lot of thought or a lot of homework has been done.
Have they consulted the public?
I have not heard
Because
any
Corey, when they drag
consultations.
them back, they're saying, "Oh, we consulted before, and we're going to consult again."
There hasn't
Any
been
consultation on this one?
not that I am aware
Good.
of. There has not been any widespread
Let the record
consultation,
speak as to
for
that.
the citizenship bill. So what the citizenship bill does is that it repeals the old citizenship bill and it makes some very drastic changes to who can become a
A
citizen.
citizen qualifications for citizenship.
Qualification of citizen.
Yes.
Now I want to remind the listening public, the viewing public here in Barbados and in the diaspora, this is now the nexus that we're going to make to the free movement of people
Mhm.
and the ability of people to come in Barbados and work.
Mhm.
The first and most dramatic change that they have made is in the lineage of who can apply for citizenship. In the current bill, the
Yes.
existing bill,
Yes.
because this citizenship bill is still before the House, so it has not been passed yet.
Mhm.
In the existing laws in Barbados, if I am a citizen and I have a son who, for example, is born in the United Kingdom, born in the United States, my son can apply for citizenship because of me as his
As a
father,
descendant.
as a descendant.
Yes, of a
immediate
citizen.
descendant.
Right.
That is the current bill.
Yes.
The new proposed bill
Mhm.
sends that qualification now not only to the immediate descendant, extended to my grandson.
Your grandson. So descendancy is extended to.
Is extended to the grandson.
Yes.
And to the great grand.
And to the great grand.
Great grand.
That's where they stop then?
Three
Three
generations.
generations.
Yeah. So they have now extended the descendancy or the ability to apply down to the great grandson. So they've extended that. Now, when the Prime Minister spoke on this bill publicly, she said, "We are not selling citizenship." What that does, and it is a tactic that people who debate and people in politics often do, they set up the more dangerous thing, tell you we're not doing that, so that the other thing becomes palatable.
Yes, indeed.
So people have to be careful when we listen to these speeches, because it sends now the ability to become a citizen all the way down to the third generation. But that's not the most critical one right here. For CARICOM nationals now, this new bill allows a CARICOM national who lives in Barbados or comes here to work, probably within the free movement scheme, and is here for only 6 months within a 2-year period, they can apply for citizenship. Any CARICOM national.
For citizenship.
For citizenship. Now, remember, our nexus is this. Remember, the representation of the People's Act has 2 categories of persons who can vote. First category, citizenship.
Yes.
Second category, Commonwealth, with those criteria that residency, residency that we explained how Mr. Ventos went to the court. Those 2 things are separate.
So there are implications for voting.
There's implications for voting.
Yes.
So, and I've heard, I believe, Ambassador Commission last week on, I believe he was speaking to the media, and he gave this, and I think he walked it back in the media the next day, but he gave this strange explanation that somehow you can get citizenship, but you needed to be here for 3 years. Ladies and gentlemen, that's not the law. That is not the law. The 3-year requirement is about residency for CARICOM or Commonwealth citizens. It is not the law. And if you're reading how the law is set out in the Representation of People's Act, it says if you are a citizen 1 or you're a Commonwealth citizen under these criteria, and one of the criteria is the 3-year residency. So the 3-year residency is not tied to the citizenship. The 3-year residency is tied to the Commonwealth residency. The 3-year gap or the 3-year limit is tied to the Commonwealth residency. It has nothing to do with citizenship. So the law, for all of our listening viewers, because this seems to be a bit of a confusion, and I think part of our job here is to educate the public. We need to be able to speak to the Barbadian public such that they are educated and they understand, so that when you hear things in the media, you are able to dissect and you're able to make a handle of it. You're able to decide for yourself if that makes sense or if it doesn't. So I am not sure where Ambassador Commission, and I believe he did walk back his comments, but just to be clear, 2 criteria for voting: citizenship, period. Once you're a citizen of Barbados, or you have Commonwealth citizenship, and they have their criteria. You were here for more than 3 years, and you have been in the constituency continuously 3 months before the actual date that you apply to be on the register. So let's concentrate on the citizenship now. Here you have the new citizenship bill. It is extending now the right of persons to become citizens of Barbados. Firstly, from 1 generation of descendants now to 3 generations of descendants. So somebody who was born in
the citizen's great-grandson.
Great-grandson. So a citizen's great-grandson or great-granddaughter.
Or great-granddaughter,
has the right now on application to the minister to apply for citizenship in Barbados. Now you have CARICOM nationals who come in Barbados in a space of 2 years and are in Barbados for 6 months. They can apply for citizenship. Let me explain. I used the word drastic earlier. Why is this a drastic departure from what was before? In order for a CARICOM national to apply for citizenship in Barbados under the current law, they needed to be in Barbados for 5 years within a 7-year period. Continuously within a 7-year. Not continuously.
Well, within a 7-year period.
5 years within a 7-year.
Ordinarily resident. That's what we say.
And to show you,
which is an intention to live, showing an intention to
live,
live
reside,
here. Yes. Yes.
Similarly, Trinidad and Tobago, same thing.
Yes.
5 years within,
Within
7 years,
Yes.
you have to be there for continuous 12 months. Jamaica, 4 years within 7 years, have to be there for continuous 12 months. Guyana, 5 years within the 7 years.
Mhm,
So
mhm.
I'm pointing out that there is a pattern
Yeah,
within.
there's uniformity across the
within-
region.
Good.
Yes.
Now, for some reason,
Mhm,
and I'm not talking about the free movement of people.
mhm.
Remember, they're two separate things.
Yes.
Some reason, the government now finds it necessary to extend the ability to become a citizen in Barbados
Mhm.
down to simply 6
6
months
months.
for CARICOM nationals. 6 months within the 2 years.
Are the other countries doing that?
No. In addition to that,
Mhm.
I'm not done. I wish I was done. But in addition to that, even persons who are not CARICOM nationals. So
Mhm.
you are now born in Afghanistan
Yes.
or in China
Mhm.
or somewhere in Brazil. If you are here in Barbados for a period of 9 months in a 3-year period, you can apply for citizenship.
This is under the proposed bill.
This is
under the bill.
Under the bill that is before
Yes.
the House.
Accuse me of asking you this question twice because I want you to address the Barbadian public
Certainly.
on this question. Are these proposals, or do these proposals have implications for voting?
Question. The answer is yes. Remember, we've set up our discussion very carefully. And forgive me if I seem a little professorial, but I do want to make sure that the person's
Go right ahead,
understanding how we get where we're going. Remember, the representation of the people's path.
Mhm.
It speaks to 2 criteria under which you can vote. The first criteria is if you are a citizen of Barbados.
Right.
So therefore, if now you are changing the criteria of the ability to become a citizen
Yes,
of Barbados,
yes.
you are affecting who can be
Who
on
can
the voting list immediately.
Precisely. So we can tell Barbadians
Mhm.
that under these proposals,
Yes.
that the qualification for citizenship is made easier. And therefore,
Yes,
if you make a man a citizen by this easier route, he has the right to vote.
he has it.
So there are voting implications contained within these proposals.
Most definitely.
Barbadians need to hear this.
Yeah, most definitely. The
Yes.
implication, there is a direct nexus between the citizenship and the ability to vote in Barbados. And remember, drastic change. You have now moved for CARICOM nationals who needed to be here for 5 years within a 7-year period. That has now been reduced to a mere 6 months within a 2-year period. For non-Caribbean, for non-CARICOM nationals,
Mhm.
I beg your pardon, where you're born anywhere else in the
Yes.
world, if you're just here for 9 months within a 3-year period, based on the bill that is before the House, then you have the ability to make an application to the minister for citizenship in Barbados. I started out by saying that this government seems to be doing things, and it's almost difficult to trace why.
Mhm.
So I think we need to do a little analysis to see what could be some of the reasons why you would want to have that ease for citizenship in Barbados. I will go on to say that the idea here, for which we've heard the Prime Minister promote this new initiative and some of the proponents of the bill, is that it will increase the population. Of course, there's been talk about not having declining birth rates within Barbados.
Mhm.
There have been calls for Barbadians to have more children. We have now been see that the reason, a part of the underlying reason for wanting to have this initiative is if you increase the population base, you increase the working population, that will increase the tax base and improve the GDP numbers.
Mhm.
So there
Mhm.
is an economic argument
Yes,
for having
yes,
more within
yes.
the workforce,
Yes.
an economic argument for having a greater tax base, greater productivity within the country, and to increase the GDP, increase productivity, increase the income generated to the government through taxation.
Mhm.
So that's not in it of itself.
That's the economic argument.
That's the economic argument, and that is not a bad.
It's not a bad thing.
Because
Yes.
I've done some research, and I won't bore our audience with all of the numbers, but I've done some research, and you've had similar initiatives across the world
Mhm.
where immigration is used as a tool in order to boost the working population,
Yes.
boost
Yeah.
the productivity within the economy
Mhm.
and increase the GDP. However, and why I say that the government needs to make sure they have done their homework
Mhm.
is that there are broader implications.
Yes.
Barbados brags of one of the highest population densities in the world. I believe at this time we are number 16 in the world
Mhm.
out of 190 something countries.
Yes.
That's nothing to scoff at.
Yes.
In this 166 square miles,
Mhm.
Barbados brags of one of the densest population. What does that population density mean? Population density is the measure of the number of people within the space that we
Mhm.
have.
Mhm.
So, simply put, we have a lot of people in a small space, and therefore
Yes.
population density.
Yes.
Right? So there are implications for social services,
Mhm.
there are implications for housing, there are
Mhm.
implications within that when you talk
Mhm.
about increasing your
Yeah.
population.
Yeah. Social and economic
There are
implications.
a lot of social.
Yes. We don't normally go to the board this early, Corey. We're going to have to press you. AMC is asking, can an individual hold citizenship of more than one CARICOM country? Is
Yeah, the short answer is yes.
The
You
short
can have-
answer
you
is
can have
yes.
dual
Dual
citizenship.
citizenship. Fine.
Dual citizenship only becomes an issue in some territories where you may want to seek higher office. So, sir, as you are seeking higher office as is young Ensley and myself,
We all
and
are.
hopefully soon Dr. SB, Wickham, I beg your pardon. That so usually within the territory, sometimes you are prohibited from having dual citizenship if you're seeking higher office. But
Mhm.
that in itself is not, and you can't
Right.
hold more than
Okay.
one. You can
Okay.
hold dual citizenship.
Yes. Brilliant as always, Corey. We've educated the public as to the law. Let us look at the history. This gentleman to my immediate right is not a historian professionally, but I tell you, when Dr. Wickham goes before a microphone, you hear more than medicine. And Doc, I wanted to ask you to share with the viewers something about the voting patterns in the earlier years of adult suffrage, universal adult suffrage, which I think was legislated around 1950. That's when all Barbadians over the age, I think at the time, Corey, it would have been 21. Then it was moved to 18. I think so.
Yes, I believe
But
so.
that's what universal adult suffrage is about. Giving the right of voting to all of our citizens beyond a certain age. We call it the age of majority. Doc, tell us something about voting patterns in the early years when the right to vote was given universally.
Oh, in the early years, I was able to find statistics from '66 onward.
Mhm.
Verify statistics. In the early years, voting percentages, voter turnout was quite high.
Mhm.
In the '66 election, the eligible voters, they recorded a turnout of about 79%.
79%.
79%. That
We can call that 80.
80%,
Yeah.
and it was 81% in the next election.
8 out of every 10 people.
And then the following two elections, 74, 71%.
Mhm.
That
Mhm.
those being the 76 and the 81 election.
Yes.
So in the first five elections, independence beyond, we had a turnout of over 70%, comfortably over 70% in
Mhm.
all five of them. In the subsequent elections between 91 and 2018, then turnout gradually dropped to about 60% 2018.
Mhm.
And well, we know in 2022, the turnout was low.
Yes.
We do have to put a bit of an asterisk, certainly with the more recent elections, 2022, 2018,
Yes.
because of issues with the number of eligible voters, voter lists. So we
Mhm.
do have to put a bit of an asterisk next to those turnout percentages.
Mhm.
Reason being that it is recognized the numbers, the list to be somewhat inaccurate. When you
Yes.
factor in the number of children we have approximately between 0 to 18, and
Mhm.
these are persons. They're not eligible to vote.
Yes.
And a basic measure that you can use is look at the number of children who do common interest every year,
Yes.
which is been over 3,000, somewhere
Mhm.
between 3,000, 3,600. You multiply that by 18, and you subtract that number from the number of individuals in Barbados, around about 280 odd thousand. There's more or less no way that in 2018 we could have had 220,000 eligible voters.
Mhm.
That said, the basic trend pattern has been that in those early years after adult suffrage
Yes.
independence, turnout was quite high, well over 70%, and has dropped off
Dropped off
quite a bit since
significantly.
then.
We want to hear the voice that we heard on Sunday night in the Pine, speaking with such great authority. That's you, Ensley, Grainger. The doc has given us the statistics, and it is a trend. And when people were first given the right to vote, they turned out in large numbers. You walk down the street, and 8 out of every 10 persons
Yes.
were voting. Today, that has dropped considerably. Ensley, why do you think more people exercise the right to vote then? And of course, the corollary of that, we're going to ask everyone, why are fewer people voting now? But give us the first one. Why did so many people vote then? Do you think?
I think that back then, people tend to think that they had a reason
Mm-hmm.
to vote,
Mm-hmm.
and that where they came from,
Yeah.
the background of where the right to vote was with persons who were well-to-do, who had the land,
Yes.
who had the money,
Yes.
and that sort of thing. And the marginalized, which would be the poor,
Yes.
they had not that right to
Mhm.
vote. So after being eligible to vote,
Mhm.
then they realize that now they have power
Yes.
in their hands,
Yes.
that they can exercise that franchise to vote,
Yes.
and believe that when they vote, that they were actually voting for improvement
Mhm.
based on where they came from,
Yes.
right? And that at that time, I believe people had a sense that what they are doing was they felt that, as I said, they had power now in their hands to make decisions for and of themselves.
Yes. I saw Corey nodding while you were speaking, which meant that he was agreeing with you. So I'm going to ask Corey the corollary of that. Why more people voted then? And my question to Corey, why are fewer people voting now?
Yeah, you're right. I was agreeing with
Yes.
Ensley, because I think one can infer that having not had the opportunity to participate,
Yes.
the enthusiasm at that time would probably have been greater.
Mhm.
I think now in our modern times, within the last 2-3 elections, and you hear it when you walk through the constituency, try to spend as much time within the constituency, chatting, introducing ourselves, and talking to voters.
Yes.
There is a general feeling, and I can almost quote many of our voters, there is a distrust of politicians.
Mhm.
And it's not, a lot of the times, it has nothing to do with the color of the shirt you're wearing.
Yes.
A lot of what you hear is, all of one is the same.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
When they ain't doing nothing for we.
Yes.
When it's only come around at election time.
Mhm. Mhm.
So there is then an apathy that seems to have, that now pervades the Barbadian public
Yes.
with respect to exercising that franchise, with respect to voting.
Mhm.
I will be frank
Yes.
at this moment, because we are on DLP TV, and I think our slogan is honest voices for people. And I think
that's right.
it's important that we also self-reflect.
Yes.
I think within the last 2 elections, and again, you hear this as you walk through the constituency, that persons have been disappointed in the Democratic Labour Party. I'm going to be frank.
Yes.
And I think that a lot of voters who would normally participate opted not to participate. I don't say that to say A, you always have to say B. I believe there is an opportunity now, however,
Mhm.
and that there's a time now, given all that is happening in Barbados, and given that we've tasted the ill-gotten fruit, I think, of a one-sided government,
Yes.
that it is an opportunity for the Barbadian public to re-engage
Excellent.
and listen to the issues,
Yes.
and not just, I didn't say listen to the talk, listen to the issues
Yes.
that affect your lives, that
Correct.
affect your everyday life. Listen to the issues that will affect your ability to go to the supermarket.
Yes.
Listen to the issues that will affect your ability to put in a full tank of gas. I
Yes.
remember when a full tank of gas was $60 in this country and I could drive for a week and a half.
Mhm.
Now $60 will barely move that needle. Listen to the issues where within a bill like the maternity provision, the paternity provision, you have criminalization of persons
Yes,
in
of paternity and
Cameron, you
maternity.
speak to this all the time.
Yes.
So I'm saying to the Barbadian people, despite the feelings and despite the apathy within the country as it relates to voting, do not let us give up our ability to make our voices heard.
Mhm.
You saw protests within the news media just today, where
Yes.
persons are outside of the community college making their voices heard.
That's
You've
right.
seen marches in Bridgetown with respect to the wiretapping bill and other issues. So I'm answering the question, say yes, we've had a fall off of participation within our voting process. And there are many reasons I think that has happened.
Mhm.
But I think now it's an opportunity for our Barbadian people, for the electorate to hold themselves up, listen to the issues,
Yes.
listen to the issues that affect your lives, not just your lives, that affect your children's lives.
Yes.
You know how many voters that I have encountered that talk about not being able to purchase more than one school uniform
Mhm.
and then put books and shoes on top of that. So these are real issues, and it is your right and it is your responsibility to exercise that vote such that you can have a voice in how those issues are resolved.
Corey, I like it that you're telling the public that government's policies are impoverishing people.
Certainly.
And the right to vote should involve the right to protest against the implementation of policies that are impoverishing people. And so you're telling the public, look, you have the power in your hands once every 5 years, albeit, but you should vote because the persons or the government that is implementing these policies is the same government that is impoverishing your life, that is making you less well off.
And that is the beauty of democracy.
Yes.
That is the beauty. I've encountered voters who say, we're not interested in politics.
Mhm.
My usual response is, you may not be interested in what I am doing in terms of going and being part of elected politics, being a candidate or being a poll worker.
Mhm.
But politics is directly related to policy
Mhm.
that impacts our lives. It impacts the lives of our children,
Access to health,
access to healthcare, housing,
housing.
education,
Yes, precisely.
all of these things,
Precisely.
the economics of your day-to-day life.
So that unless you live in Harrison's Cave, you are affected by politics.
You are, and I've been to Harrison Cave very recently. I still think if you're down there, you're affected by politics.
Well, I
So-
said living. You were visited.
Fair enough. But it really, I took the opportunity to make the appeal
Mhm.
to the Barbadian.
Yes. Yes.
We must participate because we must make our voices heard. And I will go a step further. I think we are living in a dispensation. We are living in an era where there are many voices that are being silenced because people are afraid. That people are afraid to even declare who they are.
Yes. Yes.
And I want to disabuse you of that notion as well. This is Barbados.
Mhm.
This is Barbados of our forefathers. You talked about adult suffrage. This is Barbados, and we have a right to allow our voices to be heard. We have a right to allow our voices to be heard, even in dissent of a government. And we should not allow any government, whether it's 30-0 or 15-15, to allow our voices to be silenced.
On the question of fear, on Sunday night, I engaged one of the residents there, long conversation, and he is convinced that the government knows for whom you're voting. And we had to say to him, no, they know that you voted, but they don't. It's you go into that booth, you mark your X, and no one knows except you and God. And we have to reaffirm that position that no one knows for whom you're voting, because a lot of people out there are convinced that the government somehow knows for whom people are voting.
As it stands now, they can tell whether you have voted or not.
Yes. Well,
But
we
you
can
will
too,
not.
because we send our clerks
Yes.
in, and Ensley walks in. His name is called through the polling station, and we draw a line through it. Well, our clerks will draw a line through his name. So it is registered that Ensley came in and voted. But then he proceeds to a private polling booth, and he votes in there. Nobody knows who he's voted for. But somehow people believe that that is probably when you don't trust the government. A government has become so invasive. If you're going to be passing wiretapping laws, people will begin to believe that they can tap into your ballot paper as well.
Passing wiretapping laws and misrepresenting the contents of
Precisely.
said laws. Yeah.
Precisely. Yes, Corey.
I would say that I had the distinct honor and the distinct duty to serve on the Electoral and Boundaries Commission for 5 years.
Yes.
And I want to say to the Barbadian public, as Leader Ralph pointed out, when you go into a polling station, it is recorded that you have arrived and you have voted. The procedures that those ballots are sealed, they are counted under the auspices of the Electoral and Boundaries Commission, and those ballots are then sent into a vault in the Supreme Court registry.
Correct.
In my time there, I have not experienced anything nefarious where anybody has requested who has voted.
Excellent.
And I give that personal assurance, having served in that capacity.
Yes.
What I think the broader point here, though, is that when you have a society now that is so suspicious,
Yes.
I think we need to be, especially within our discourse,
Yes.
here on this panel, when we speak on the political platforms, when we speak to the media, I think part of our discourse has to be one of reassurance that our democratic institutions are strong.
Yes.
And our democratic processes are strong.
Yes.
What we have to guard against, however, is when we see things that have the potential to claw back those democratic assurances,
precisely.
right? And we need to continue to assure people and continue to assure people that when we see those things, that we will continue to fight against those things, like the wiretapping.
Yes. Yes. I like Corey how you said people are suspicious, and people are entitled to be suspicious when a government is invasive into their private lives. Doc, I wanted to come to you. Has there been a relationship between voter apathy and the improvement in people's material well-being? You said to us that when it started, when everybody got the right to vote, 8 out of 10, 7 out of 10. But we all know that people have improved their material well-being, and that apathy seems to be coincident with that. Do you see a relationship between the two? People becoming better off and deciding not to vote. Is there a connection between the two?
In the absence of proper, scientific study on that question, we can only speculate as to the reasons.
Yes.
My speculation would be something, as you said earlier, which is that, in the earlier days of adult suffrage and independence, persons were closer to the difficulties of the 30s and 40s.
Yes.
And, we're voting with purpose, with cause. Yes, it appears as if as persons became more affluent, the interest in voting declined, but there are other considerations, other possible reasons. I suspect if you ask many of our younger persons now, they will tell you, what difference will it make? What is it going to do for me? I can still struggle to put food in my belly, struggle to put gas in the car, and point about all politicians being the same. So there are significant reasons for the disinterest. Person's comfort level may be one, but I suspect a big reason would be that persons think it doesn't make a difference.
It doesn't make a
the
difference.
point is to be made, however, that not voting is indeed a form of voting.
Yes.
Not voting
apathy
is still
a vote.
voted.
Yes.
Apathy is a vote.
Yes.
And we have pointed out a number of the issues so far that come along with that. We have a government that, they're serial bunglers. That's how I would put it.
Serial bunglers.
Serial bunglers. That's not my original term. But the number of the pieces of legislation that they have brought to Parliament and had to walk back or in a dumpster somewhere. And this is despite the fact that they have the largest cabinet in our history.
Right.
The largest army of consultants in our history.
Yes.
a wage bill that is through the roof. They claim consultation with the population, only for that to be clearly seen not to be the case when the bills come to Parliament and have to be walked back. And yet they boast of their competence. So not voting helps to ensure that continues.
Precisely.
That is not something which we want. This is a level of incompetence. I mean, it has to be called out for what it is. It's incompetence.
It's incompetence.
I said here before that persons tend to see leadership potential in individuals who speak a lot. We have to look at what they're saying.
Yes, look at their hands.
We have a leader that talks a lot.
Yes.
But what is he saying? I also pointed out on the platform, you have to consider what persons are not saying. And we spoke of some of that as well. And then someone who we see leadership potential in individuals who appear busy, regardless of what they're busy doing.
Yes.
She's certainly busy playing. I'm not sure how far 100 trips in 7 years, what it has done for us. And we spoke to the cost of some of these trips recently. And someone, and this is the one that gets me, who appears confident. I will give the and this she appears confident. Competence is a totally different issue, not to be confused with competence. Because when you look at these bills that we spoke of, this is abject incompetence.
That's right.
When two grown men can get up in Parliament and misrepresent, that speaks to another matter as well. This is
people must understand these bills went to cabinet first, and that the cabinet was chaired by the Prime Minister, so that the Prime Minister oversaw the process.
Yes.
So that nobody in the government has the authority to come to that Parliament and claim that they're apologizing to Bajans. Presumably, they sat in that cabinet room. Presumably,
they read the bills.
They read it.
Presumably.
And that the person chairing that process was the Prime Minister.
Who then gets up on a Sunday night and almost blame Barbadians for having to walk back the bill by saying that, Barbadians demanded that, the government takes action. And sometimes when things come a little quickly, it isn't all together. I mean, really, that's incompetence.
They're there to govern.
That's all what it is. That's incompetence.
I want to go into the field.
With your permission,
yes, I was coming to you, Ensley. Yes, please.
Leader. I just want to go back to the question you asked about the improvements and the apathy.
Yes, and its relationship to apathy. Yes. I was coming to you on that.
Okay. I think improvements must be celebrated.
Yes.
Because it means many persons made great sacrifices.
Excellent point.
To improve themselves.
Yes.
But as it relates to the apathy, I think this comes down when people have a feeling that voting makes no difference. As Corey had alluded to. Then they believe that, listen, if I vote or I don't vote, it's the same, it's the same thing. And that comes when there is a sense, as you said, a distrust of government. If you take, for instance, this Barbados Labour Party in their 2018 manifesto, and pledge to the people of Barbados that within 18 months of government, we are going to reduce the VAT.
Yes.
And it's 7 years later, and VAT is still the same. So when people see that,
a recipe for distrust.
Politicians come on when it's the same, and so people have this sense that once they're being treated in this way by politicians,
contemptuously,
then it breeds
distrust,
and then the apathy steps in, and it is bad for democracy.
You use the word that I absolutely love. You talked about sacrifice. And maybe we have to find a way, don't we, Ensley, to remind young people that the material benefits that they seem to enjoy, or that they actually enjoy, came with somebody's sacrifice, somebody older, a parent, a grandparent.
Agreed.
So that we have to remind them that they are not disconnected from sacrifices made by others.
And that very soon, they will realize that they themselves
precisely
will have to make sacrifices
for
those
precisely
under them.
Yes. They wanted us. Yes, Corey. Wanted us to go to the board. Yeah, you go.
There
Corey.
was actually a comment on the board. It's not there now, but
yes,
the comment said transparency will lead to confidence. I don't remember the word.
Transparency will lead to confidence. That was Alwyn.
They were making the point that because we were making a point in how persons have no confidence in
Yes, that's Alvin Bab.
Yeah.
Good.
They have no confidence.
Let us read it. Let us read it first, Corey, and then you comment. It is going to take the DLP to restore confidence in the that one. Or
Transparency.
Sheldon
Bateman.
Bateman. Transparency increases confidence in any institution. Yes, Corey, please.
And I wanted to comment on that
Yes.
because I was speaking to my comrade Ensley just before the show. And
Yes.
I said to him, there's something that you said on
Sunday night.
that you went all the way up to the edge, but you didn't jump all the way off. And I'm going to steal it from him and jump all the way off. No. This government in its manifesto in
Yes.
2018,
Yes.
and I'm going to quote Ensley, the Prime Minister promised that they will introduce integrity legislation
Indeed.
in the manifesto.
Indeed.
And the extra bit that I'm going to go that you didn't is that they introduced it. Is right. They told the truth in the manifesto. They introduced it. It was passed in the House.
I was about to tell you, I remember my speech on it.
It was passed in the
And
Senate.
today I continue to be a disappointed man that it hasn't been passed.
No, it has been passed.
Well, that it hasn't come into
right.
law.
Right, it's been passed
In both houses.
In both houses,
Yes.
both the House and in the Senate. And I believe it was it's either May or March 2023. I believe it may be May 2023, but we can be subject to correction. But that bill has not seen the desk of the president for proclamation. And I want the Barbadian people to understand. You have to be careful with double speak. You hear our colleague Dr. Wickham said just now. Sometimes you hear people talk a lot, but sometimes it's more what they do not say than more than what they say.
Yes.
They talk about integrity legislation, they talk about transparency, but they're really not. The bills have been passed in the House and in the Senate.
Yes.
But that integrity legislation bill is no longer law. And that, I think, is the first step towards a transparent government where public functionaries, government ministers, prime minister are required to disclose their assets. Disclose their assets. You need to set up the commission. All of the provisions of that bill, because I believe we have to restore the confidence in what we do on behalf of the Barbadian people. But this government cleverly has passed the bill. She said she will introduce, but it sits somewhere in a drawer, somewhere in Parliament, and has not made its way up to government.
Gentlemen, someone sent me a video today in which a gentleman is saying, look, you cannot be a minister and become a millionaire on your salary. And I started to think, he is right. How do you become a millionaire on a ministerial salary? We know what Singapore did. They paid well. But if you're found with your hand in the cookie jar, that's it. Your career is done.
I believe that
Sorry, I related that to integrity legislation.
Yeah, no.
And what you correctly said about disclosure of assets.
Yes.
Because you're in public life, you have a duty, moral duty to disclose your assets.
And we're talking about voting, so I don't want to stray too far. I think we can have an entire show on the integrity legislation and accountability. I just wanted to mention that juxtaposed to the fact that the citizenry, the voters, are losing confidence
Precisely.
in this government, losing confidence in politicians. They are apathetic, and that's part and parcel of why people
loss of trust,
because there's a loss of trust. So I mentioned that to say that we as a democratic people, we need to assure the public that once we are in government, that we will be accountable to the voters and others there, that we will see integrity legislation pass and become law, and that we will be held accountable. We cannot be in a scenario where, as you said, politicians are living fat off the land, and you have ordinary Barbadians who cannot feed their families. There's something just completely wrong.
This is neither self-serving nor patronizing. But when I see the team that we have put together, Corey, I am extremely pleased. And I think Barbadians have a lot to be pleased about in these young men and women that we have assembled as this Democratic Labour Party going into the next election. And I want to compliment you and the Doc and Ensley for being the kind of standard bearers that this party can be proud of.
I will endorse that 100%. I think the team, and we spent a lot of time together. I think the team is fantastic. But you know me, I'm a frank individual. I think this fantastic team needs then to demonstrate to people
Yes.
that we are going to be persons that they can rely on,
Yes.
that we can give accountability for our
Yes.
actions.
That they can trust.
Because I've encountered a voter, and I have a good team with me. These are the branch members and the branch executive. They go out with me.
Let's pay tribute to Kelly. Good night, Kelly.
And good night, Joseph.
Joseph,
and
yeah.
Patrick,
Wonderful
all the
people.
others.
Wonderful people.
And they say somebody might say, man, but is he a good man? And one of the team members might say, yes, he's a good man. But that's because they know me.
Yes.
We have to be able to demonstrate to the voters, not just that we're good people,
Yes.
but that we will put policies in place, that we can police ourselves,
Yes.
and that we can be accountable to them.
Yes.
And I believe that needs to be part of our platform. The stated Barbadian people, that we are accountable. We will come. We will be transparent. And right now, we do not have a government that is transparent.
Correct.
I mean,
Yes, Doc.
it was said recently, in the absence of truth,
Yes.
trust is eroded. And that aptly described, one of the contributing factors to the apathy that many persons feel, the lack of trust, and endorsing what Corey said.
Lack of trust or truth.
Lack of truth,
Yes.
which has led to lack
of trust. Yes.
We've seen it with the whole town civic center.
Yes.
Different stories. We've seen it with two grown men getting up in parliament and misrepresenting the contents of the interception of communications bill. So it is definitely an issue. I would, in endorsing Corey's comments, I will go further in saying that show that we will stick to a particular standard.
Yes.
And that the people of Barbados hold us as they should hold any government to that standard.
Precisely.
A government as incompetent as the current government, for the reasons, and there are many more that we could discuss that we've talked about so far, needs to be held accountable.
Yes. In fact, I don't want to make this not to become a continuation of last week's program, but a government that continues to fail to give account on the amounts of money spent on Carifesta. And we know, I can say now we know, we've gone beyond feeling. We know it is in the amount of millions.
Definitely.
And the government is saying they've breached all the rules.
That just speaks to poor management. How do you have
a lack of truth? They must know.
You probably have something to hide.
Precisely.
And not have a budget.
Yes.
And know then if you need to go off budget. And also parliamentary rules for government spending in Barbados and not following appropriate procedures.
Yes.
That speaks to incompetence, possibly corruption. What is there to hide?
Precisely.
And I don't want just to
and we are relating all this to voting, so don't let the public think that we are off.
Because this is also a government that knowingly in 2022 disenfranchised thousands of Barbadians.
Precisely.
Knowingly. A right in a democracy that is sacred, second to none. Thousands of persons who were in COVID-19 quarantine and isolation at that time were barred from voting.
If I ask you to play devil's advocate for the government, if I ask you to speak for the government, have you been able to locate any possible reason why the government would have held an election in the middle of COVID? Can we conceive of any reason why the government would have done that?
She did it for straight political advantage. That's it.
Yes.
It was not constitutionally legal. We had additional 16 months with provision for 90 days in the event of emergencies and so on. Or we could speak more to that.
Yes.
But it was done for purely political reasons. But the key thing is that the Constitution requires that mandates representation in the People Act to ensure that every eligible voter is presented with an opportunity to vote.
Precisely.
We have persons who were told, according to a statement by a senior official at the time, if you are COVID-19 positive, you will not be able to vote.
Disenfranchised.
Disenfranchised.
And worse, disenfranchised because of a medical condition.
Because of a medical condition. At a time when an election was not necessary.
Precisely. So,
there were 16 additional months before the constitutionally due date. The government did that. Willingly disenfranchised a sacred vote, the sacred right in a democracy was taken from persons that didn't have a chance.
But I want to focus, and you're a doctor, I want to focus on the basis of illness. You're telling a man, I'm taking away your right, you're ill, which is something you don't do. You don't mess with a man's medical condition. You don't disqualify a man from exercising a constitutional right because he's unwell.
They're over
So that
18.
is another reason why it ought not to have been done.
They're over 18. They are
Precisely.
sound mind. They were not
Precisely.
incarcerated. They had a medical illness, and the election was called at a time when it was not constitutionally due. And even if it was constitutionally due, every eligible voter must have a reasonable opportunity to exercise that right. They were told that they could not vote.
Precisely in an age of technology where it might have been possible. Corey
Also
wants
to
to-
Comrade Bashar.
Yes, please.
And it was
no.
also called at the time when the Prime Minister went on national TV and
Yes.
said she will not call an election during COVID.
She said, indeed. Indeed.
So again, when people are seeing this distrust,
Yes.
right, by our politicians,
Yes.
the apathy will always come.
Yes. And yet you hear this thing about pretty talk. You're talking sweet. So we living on sweet talk. Yes, Corey.
I actually do want to address this issue of the
Disenfranchisement?
election, the disenfranchisement.
Mhm.
Before we do, there's a question though on the panel.
That's Lemuel.
Yes.
Welcome, Lemuel. You're with us every week and we really appreciate it. Yes, Corey. Oh,
So-
I'll read it or you?
Yeah, you can go.
Who is responsible for taking a bill to the president for assent once it is passed in parliament?
Well, the simple answer is that
The government?
the government,
The
because the
government, yeah.
cabinet lays a bill
Yeah.
before within parliament. There's a government minister who introduced the bill. It goes through all of the readings. It
Mhm.
passes through parliament. It goes to the Senate. Once that bill has passed, the government is responsible for taking that bill to
Yeah,
the next
it's a
step.
governmental duty.
It's a governmental
Yeah.
duty to take that bill then to State House before the president for its proclamation.
Mhm.
So if your question is asking who are we blaming for the integrity bill that's
government.
sitting somewhere in parliament in
The
the law,
government.
it is the government.
It's not the clerk of parliament.
It is the government.
It's not the postmaster general. It's the government.
It's the government. On the issue of the snap election,
Mhm.
I wanted us to address that in broader terms.
Yes, that's the
Agreed.
22 election.
22.
Yes.
I agree 100% with the doctor here.
Mhm.
Do you know that the only other time in the post-independence era of Barbados that the election was called, snap election was in 1994.
Mhm.
That was then Prime Minister Erskine Sanders,
Mhm. Mhm.
who was going to be the subject of a no confidence.
Who was the
Who was
subject?
the subject
Yes,
of a no
of a
confidence,
successful no confidence motion.
and therefore had to dissolve parliament.
Mhm.
I did some research because it dawned on me that the Prime Minister snapped the election in 2022 for no reason at all.
It was immoral, Corey.
And so I thought to myself, well, let's look to see who snaps elections and for what reason.
Yes.
Because I believe in research and I believe
Yes.
in
Let's hear
comparison.
your research.
I noticed in 2022 the election was called. And it seems to me, I'm not sure if you gentlemen are feeling it, but there seems to be this constant threat
Yes.
of
Yes.
an election that may have been
Yes.
called in September or election that may
Mhm.
be coming in January.
I like
you
the
know,
word. It's a threat.
It's a
the
threat.
threat
And I
that you're
use the
hanging
word
over
threat.
Barbadians.
And I'll tell you why I use the word threat. Because based on my research, I'll give you my conclusion based on what
Yes,
I looked
please.
at, and then I will tell you what I based my conclusion.
Mhm.
It looks to me that Prime Minister Morty seems to be using the power
Mhm.
to call an election, and she has weaponized
Yes.
that power.
Yes.
To our viewers, within our system, within the Westminster system of governance, the parliamentary system of government, the Prime Minister is endowed with the sole power to
Mhm.
call an election. Within our system, the election, there is a set term of 5 years from the date of one election to the next,
Mhm.
in which that election is constitutional to do. And as Dr. Wickham pointed out, you have a 90-day grace period for if there's some emergency or there's some reason why the election could not be called on the date of the fight.
Yes.
The Prime Minister, sitting Prime Minister of the day, has the power to call or dissolve Parliament and call that election at any time during that 5 years.
Mhm.
That power is not unusual. It is the same system that resides within the United Kingdom, within the UK. It's the same system that operates in Canada.
Mhm.
and throughout the English-speaking Caribbean, where Westminster system, the Prime Minister is able to call an election before it's constitutionally due. So I sought to do some research to see when have snap elections happened and for what reason. I combed the records of the United Kingdom, I combed the records of Canada,
Yes.
and also combed the records throughout the Caribbean. And what I did is then I categorized some of the reasons based on all of the elections. I can tell you within the United Kingdom, there were 6 snap elections since 1965. So I used the same time period.
Yes.
From our 1966 to now, which would be just about a 60-year period, just shy of 60 years. So just shy of 60 years. So I used that period for comparison.
Yes.
So within that 60-year period in the United Kingdom, there were 6 snap elections. Within the federal system in Canada, there were 11 snap elections.
Yes.
And the categories of reasons,
yes.
categorized 4 reasons why a government, may call an election early.
Yes.
Usually, if there's a razor-thin majority, like what pertained in our 2013 election,
Yes.
where the Democratic Labour Party thankfully had 16 seats,
16, yeah.
and the Barbados Labour Party had 14 seats, which ends up being a 15-14 majority
and
because
a potentially unstable government. So you want to resolve instability.
So usually, if there's a razor-thin majority,
Yes.
or that occurred in Trinidad in 2002, there was an absolute dead heat.
Yes.
In 2002, there was an 18-18, and that created a hung parliament. So the first reason that you may snap an election is if it's so razor thin that you have practically half of the electorate or half of the representative electorate not being in sync with the government, and a prime minister may think, listen, I need to have a mandate to govern, and therefore we call an election so we can sort out this razor thin majority to see if I can gain a majority of a mandate to govern. So that's one of the reasons that you snap. Again, Patrick Manning in 2002, it was an 18-18 hung parliament, and within a year of that first term, Patrick Manning called an election and he regained power. The second category is if it's a minority government.
Yes.
Unlike Barbados, a lot of our systems have more than 2 parties. So you can end up with a governing minority.
Precisely.
So again, in Canada, Justin Trudeau in 2019, he snapped the election because he was governing as a minority, and he wanted an opportunity to go back to the electorate to say, I need a mandate, I need a governing majority. The third reason is if there's a significant event, a significant policy event within the country, that the governing party says, listen, in order to do this, I want to go to the public to again get Brexit, exactly. Twice. You had Theresa May in 2017, she snapped the election, and again Boris Johnson in 2019, because they were negotiating Britain's exit from the European Union, and therefore there was a lot of public sentiment around that major issue.
Give us a mandate.
Correct. So you don't want to just operate as a government when you have even an electorate that might have put you in power. You may have that issue swaying the electorate away from
and they become restless.
So in order to stabilize your governance, you say, let's go to the polls, let people have a say, and then we can have a mandate to go forward. Finally, as we mentioned earlier, if there's an absolute no confidence motion in the ruling government, as with Erskine Sandiford in 1994, and you had in 2011, you had Stephen Harper in Canada, suffered a no confidence motion, and you have to dissolve parliament, and you have to you call a snap election. That's my research.
Excellent analysis. Excellent research. Excellent analysis.
Now, my question then. Forgive me, leader. You are generally the question. But my question then is to the public. Under which of those categories did the Honorable Prime Minister thought it necessary to snap an election during COVID?
And the
6,000 people were disenfranchised.
The doc is telling us that there was the exact opposite. There was absolutely no reason to call it, Corey.
I will confess again that I was a member of the Electoral and Boundaries Commission during that time. And I will go on the record to say that I was a vehement dissent against that, because at the time, the Electoral and Boundaries Commission did not have the legal structure or the practicality in which to allow persons that were had been quarantining because they were COVID-19 positive to vote. I will go a step further than Dr. Wickham to say the conundrum that was faced at that time by the country was that you had two competing rights. And you heard us talk about competing rights a lot when we were talking about the wiretapping bill. And competing rights within a citizenry is really very important. And I'll explain to our viewers. You had a scenario where under the emergency act, under the state of
Emergency Powers Act,
the emergency powers, where the right for freedom of movement, and this is not freedom of movement CARICOM, this is the right for freedom of movement within the precincts of Barbados, within the boundaries of Barbados, because that is a right that every Barbadian has. You have the freedom to move. But because of the state of emergency, because of the emergency powers, the Attorney General and the government is able to pass law to say, if you are COVID-19 positive, you cannot leave the confines of your home. That was law. That is law.
Yes.
And that law restricts a right that is within the Constitution.
Yes.
Under law, under the emergency powers. Your competing law, however, says that you have a right to vote. So you have two laws, two legal constructs that are at odds with each other.
How do you resolve it?
You
How does the
resolve it
government
by not
resolve it?
snapping an election
Precisely.
during an emergency.
Precisely.
So not only did you snap an election because someone was ill, you snap an election when you have competing laws that you cannot resolve.
Correct.
And there is no reason to snap the election. This was, I was kerfuffled, dumbfounded, any of the words that I could come up. I understand what manner of leader would take on such a project, such a decision to disenfranchise persons to vote for what I can only see was a self-serving purpose. There was no reason to call an election in 2020. Now we're in 2025, and there seems to be something in the air.
You use the word threat. I don't mind using the word threat and weaponize.
And you know that I'm not generally prone to hyperbole. I always say that when I'm on the show. But I use the word threat unapologetically because it is weaponizing a power that is not intended for that.
Precisely.
In other words, the norms, and I've demonstrated the norms through the research throughout the Caribbean and throughout Canada and the United Kingdom. That the norm there are particular reasons why you come before it's constitutionally due. And therefore, if you have no real reason, we were just coming out we were just at the back end of COVID, but the emergency powers were still in effect. And you called an election having a 30, well, at the time, a 29-1 majority. This is when Bishop Adley had taken up the post of opposition leader. So you had a 29-1 majority, and there was no reason to call an election. Now you have this looming threat of an election that can be called early. Maybe because the Prime Minister thinks they will catch the DLP with their pants. No, the DLP is ready for an election. And I have one message, and I'm going to speak to the camera. I'm going to give a message to the Honorable Prime Minister. I have a suggestion for you. How about you just govern?
Precisely.
That's novel. Like, you have been given a full mandate, 29 seats in Parliament. How about you govern and let the constitutional election time come? How about you just govern?
Perfect time for me to introduce this question. How do we feel, gentlemen? And look, state your independent positions. We are honest voices. How do you gentlemen feel about fixed dates, a fixed date for the election, as in the United States of America, as opposed to this, as you said, this ambush, this threat, this weaponization of a date, and you just pop a date on the population and everybody's scurrying to come to grips with it? Do you think that we, under a new Republican Constitution, which they seem unable to pass, that we should contemplate a fixed date for the election so that you avoid this instability?
I would say that this is the opinion that I will give. And you did invite us to give our opinion.
Yes, please do.
The way Barbados has worked throughout its post-independence was almost, you understood that there was a certain
Well, it was a convention.
it was, you almost understood there was a certain protocol and gentlemanlike way in which we conducted
Precisely.
ourselves.
Precisely.
Yes, we could legislate. You're absolutely correct,
Mhm.
and it would solve the problem.
Yes.
As in the United States, which has a more of a hybrid system, but they are a
Mhm.
republic, and therefore, on the first Tuesday in November,
November.
every 4 years,
Yes,
there will
yes,
be election in the
yes.
United States. So the answer to your question, yes, we can legislate and pin this down to a specific date. But what does that now say about our democracy? Have we transitioned now from that almost gentlemanly way in which
Yes.
we understand how we do politics, that neighbor by neighbor, where I could be in a home and my wife vote for one party and I vote for another, and we could still sleep next to each other? Have we lost that sense of neighborhood?
Yes.
The United States is a big place, 300 million people, and 50 states, all that are operated under different laws. So the comparison is vast. We are 166 square miles, just shy of 300,000 people. I still know most of my neighbors.
Well, Corey, generally you legislate against a problem. And if under this government a problem has emerged, how do we fix it?
I have the fix for you.
Yes.
A Democratic Labor Party government.
That too.
That we return back to the norms of a democracy that is not necessary. You had to legislate every single thing to avoid a corrupt government.
Yes.
That we understood that we had good men and women who looked after the people of Barbados, understood the implications of the decisions that they made, and did not have to walk back every single decision when they're caught with their hands in the cookie jar.
Yes.
That's my answer to that.
Okay, I'm going to ask these gentlemen to give an individual political position, and also I'm going to invite the viewers to express their opinions. Should we have fixed dates as in the United States, or should we depend on prime ministerial discretion? Ensley, how do you feel on fixed dates as in the United States, or would you leave it to a decent prime minister?
A simple answer could say yes, fixed dates, because of what is prevailing by this prime minister.
Yes.
They will want to say that, listen, this should not happen.
Yes.
But I don't think she will have many more opportunities to do that.
If it is God's will.
And if it is God's will, and I believe that, a Democratic Labour Party government, the voters of Barbados will have nothing to fear because we were given a mandate. The voters gave the government a mandate for 5 years.
5 years, yes.
Why are you going to betray those people?
Yes, yes. And you're showing that you can't even make 4 each time.
Right? And every time, and as Corey said, you're weaponizing a constitutional situation.
Precisely.
And even when Corey talked about the competing laws, voting is a right. It's a constitutional right.
Yes.
And if you take that away, any law that passes in contravention of the Constitution, then it's
bad law.
It's bad law.
Bad law. The individual political position, fixed dates or prime ministerial discretion?
The taste of the current government in my mouth, I would have to say fixed dates. And I would go further. We should consider even the right to recall, which we know happens in some jurisdictions. Obviously, stipulations in place, because if a government could go so far off the rails in a short space of time, there's the concern some persons have a fixed date that you may have to put with them for as long as 5 years, when you may want to get rid of them after 3. So that's my personal view, but I'll go for fixed date.
Thank you. And we've invited the public to say how they feel about fixed dates or prime ministerial discretion. We're going to Kamhar, who can vote in Barbados. When CARICOM nationals can now vote in Barbados, please address why there is this resistance and denial of Barbadians in right. Cam, you're right on point. I was going to call it a difficult question. The question of diaspora voting rights, gentlemen. A person leaves Barbados, goes to New York, London, Toronto. Spends about 40 years there. And during that course of time, he or she is taken off the voters list. Still a citizen, may have dual citizenship, but is taken off the voters list. And you would know about this, Corey, about people being taken off. I mean, the enumeration is done. Your family says John Brown is no longer around, taken off the list. And he is there in New York, and I'm setting you up, perhaps, the question, not you, setting up the question. He says, look, but I bought a house in Barbados. I'm paying land taxes. I'm retired. I come there. I spend winter in Barbados because I don't like the cold. So that he is partially resident here, but he's off the voters list. We're not going to make promises as a government, but is this a worthy discussion as a party?
Yes, I
The
think
extension of voting rights to the diaspora.
certainly. I do think that it is a worthy discussion.
Yes.
But I would not want to fall in the same trap as this government. And I say that to say where we are not able to analyze a question or a situation from all of its angles.
Right.
Excuse me. We do want to ensure full participation of our Barbadian nationals, even the ones that are within the diaspora. I think that it is something that even once we are in government, or even now within our function within the opposition, I think it is something that's worth discussion.
Yes.
But I have experience in my role in observing elections in some of the other territories.
Yes.
Where you have situations where even that provision to allow the diaspora to vote is abused and used to skew an election worthiness. I was in one territory and there was fear, and rightly so, of one party bringing in charter planes of visitors.
Playing loads of people.
Playing loads of people.
And this is done by one party or the other.
It's done by one party or the other.
Yes. Well,
So,
generally the ruling party.
Generally
with the resources.
With the resources.
Yes.
Exactly. So I think it is a discussion, and it is a policy point that I think would need enough research.
Yes. And consultation. Yes. Yes.
Such that you can craft a system and a mechanism that has guardrails to avoid abuse.
Yes.
And to avoid misuse. I would end also by saying that the mechanism to remove citizen of Barbados from the list is very specific within the representation of the people and the regulations. So
it cannot be done arbitrarily.
It's not done.
Just not a question of the enumerator striking you off.
No, there's a
for
very
absence.
specific mechanism by which you can remove a voter from the list. So I don't want to give our viewers the impression that as long as you travel and you're out for the world, you just automatically move.
But some people have been removed.
Some people have been removed, and it's usually over very long periods of time, or if there is a specific check that person is now permanently resident somewhere else. So there's a specific mechanism by which someone can be removed from the voters.
But let's resolve the question then. Is it that they don't have the right to vote, or is it that the administration, and when I say the administration, I mean the administration of a department, has, for one reason or another, removed them from the list?
Correct. So if you are a citizen of Barbados and you are on the list, even if you are outside of Barbados, if you are here during the election and you're on the list, you can vote.
You can vote.
Right.
So it is the list that is the offender. Because if a chap is in New York 40 years and he's a dual, he has citizenship there and here, can he come home, have his name reinserted on the list?
He certainly can make an application to be registered.
I think we need to explain that.
I will have to do a little more research in terms of this so I can properly explain it to our listeners. And we maybe be able to do that in a subsequent
program.
But it's not as, to answer the question, it's not as simply a matter of saying people in there
can't. Right. We need to resolve that.
We need to resolve it. I think it's something we can probably discuss further.
Yes. Doc, diaspora voting rights, because this is a raging issue among our diaspora, particularly in New York and Toronto and England as well. Should we be looking at liberalizing whatever law or administration there is to allow our citizens in the diaspora to vote?
I think as we allow for, with the stipulations that were mentioned earlier, eligible voters who are non-nationals to vote. We certainly should allow for those in the diaspora who are nationals to be able to vote. But I do agree with Corey that is something that has to be looked at very carefully in terms of how you work it out.
Yes.
But that should be the starting point, that we make every opportunity and look to see how it can be done with the necessary checks and guardrails.
Yes.
And boy, I love that word guardrails, because with this government, you
You
need,
need guardrails.
Guardrails.
Yes.
Real tight.
Yes.
Real tight. You need guardrails. I mean, they can't be trusted.
Yeah.
Not to weaponize.
Yes, precisely. Ensley, you have a view.
Yeah, I would say that it is a mature discussion that a future Democratic Labour Party government would have to look at.
Yes.
In many instances, these are people who have built Barbados.
Yes.
And
Remittances.
they're left to seek greener pastures. They still have families here.
Yes.
They send their remittances
That's right.
back to this country,
Yeah.
and they want to feel a part of decision making within the country.
Yes.
And they ought not to be ostracized because of the distance. So me, Corey said, but if they are in Barbados when the election is called, they're on the list, they can be vote. They can vote. So in that instance, they are not disenfranchised. But suppose they are not, but they are Barbadian. They still want to exercise that right.
Yes.
So I think currently that does not exist. So therefore, future Democratic Labour Party government will have to have that mature and discussion and to deal with this issue of diaspora voting.
It becomes particularly interesting because Corey has reminded us earlier that citizenship now extends to the fourth generation. If that boy, that great grandson is in London, New York, he is a citizen.
Yes.
And therefore, if you're extending citizenship to your great grandson, are you not, or should you not then be extending the right to vote concomitantly?
And just to be clear,
to the first generation in the same city.
right? So just to be clear, the citizenship is on application.
Yes,
You have to make
yes,
an
of course.
Citizenship. So then there's the issue, and again, I think we probably need to digress and maybe come back and discuss with more veracity. But there's the issue of, remember, there's no remote voting.
Right.
So these, even if you had a diaspora,
you gotta come home.
So there are different issues. Those persons have to be here.
Yes.
So the issue, I don't think it's one-dimensional. I think you need to be able to look at all of the aspects of it in order to make an informed discussion.
Yes.
So what I wanted to dovetail back to, as we're talking about the list, one of my gravest concerns with the new citizenship bill is that within 6 months, within a 2-year period, you could add a significant amount of persons who have immigrated to Barbados from across the Caribbean to our voters list. And why that concerns me is this. One, the current list, and I've looked at the current list, the most recently published list by law was in January of 2025. And it was updated in May 2025 to accommodate the by-election in St. James North.
Yes.
I did a quick search today preparing for this program, and there are 2,050 persons on the list between the age of 100 and 118.
We're doing better than Japan with centenarians.
Now, while I would be happy if all those persons were still batting at crease, we know that that is not true. I have encountered persons within the constituency who lived the same place for 20 or more years, voted in 2022, that are not on the list. I have encountered persons who have been in the same location, but they're on the list in a neighboring constituency. I'm making this point to say that the list is flawed.
Yes, it is
correct.
Yes.
And now to take a position where you're adding a whole set
Yes.
of persons onto the list, I think we are adding pressure onto the electoral system.
Yes. Yes.
I think the list needs to be updated. We also discussed the idea of a snap election. And I heard the Prime Minister the other day talking about when she was questioned about producing the numbers for the Carrot Festival, she used a word reckless.
Mhm.
And I've heard her use the word before.
Mhm.
I think what would be reckless would be to call an election and not have a proper list of voters. I think
Yes.
that would be reckless.
Yes.
If it is constitutionally due,
Mhm.
you need to follow that process.
Yes.
To call an election 16, 14, 12 months before it's
Before it's-
constitutional due,
Yes.
when the electoral system has not had an opportunity to correct this,
Precisely.
that is restless.
Precisely.
You had in Dominica in 2019,
Mhm.
Spirit called an election,
Yes.
and there were a lot of issues related to the list.
The list. Yes.
And not only just the list,
Yes.
there were many aspects of the society, civil society, that were calling for election reform.
Mhm. Mhm.
And yet he snapped an election.
Yeah.
To the extent that the major opposition party boycotted it. And that then led, in my opinion,
Mhm.
to a disenfranchisement, or it led to a breakdown of the democratic process.
Mhm.
Again, I say to the Prime Minister, why not just govern?
Precisely.
Why not actually take your huge cabinet and let them do some homework so that when bills come to the floor of the House, we don't have to pull them back?
Homework and work at work too.
Work, govern,
Yes.
work for the Barbadian people. Work so that there are economic policies that people can go to the supermarket, that people can buy. Work
Precisely.
for the people because they have given you a mandate. This idea of snapping the election
Yes. Yes.
is reckless, especially when you have a lot of issues within the voting list.
Corey, I know that you would want to join in reminding the public that the Electoral and Boundaries Commission is an autonomous,
Yes.
independent constitutional body.
Yes,
And
yes.
therefore, we are not for one moment questioning the integrity of that body. But the Auditor General, he is also a constitutional figure, and he received the call some time ago. The office of the DPP is independent, constitutional, and his discretion was publicly questioned some time ago by a member of the government. That does not happen in a mature democracy. That does not happen. The point I'm making is that although these bodies are constitutional and autonomous, there seems to be some incursion into these bodies by the executive, and that is something about which we must be extremely careful in Barbados. Corey, you wanted to add to that?
I think anytime the way our constitution is set up, we understand the independence of these bodies.
Yes.
I believe that so that the public understands, by law, the Electoral Boundaries Commission are required to publish this by January 31st in every year.
In every year,
By
yes.
January 31st, 2026, I believe that the list will be published. What I would call on the Electoral Boundaries Commission to do is to issue a statement to the public as to the veracity of that list.
Yes.
In other words, when we pick up that list,
Being independent,
Being
autonomous,
independent. So,
constitutional,
yes.
they have that power
correct,
and that right.
and that no government should be looking to snap an election
Mhm.
when there are so many challenges with the electorals.
Dr. Wickham, this brings me to the allied question about the government's activities in relation to independent bodies. I mean, we know how the government relates to the average citizen. You transact with them, you give them effect, make them happy, and that's it. But I want to talk about the question of fear. F-E-A-R, not F-A-I-R, F-E-A-R. Do you get a sense that in Barbados people are afraid of the government?
I know many persons would know of my involvement in politics and on this platform.
Yes.
I've had many experiences engaging persons where I'll make my point, speak in normal conversational tone, and as they're then engaging, they speak in hushed tones.
Really?
People don't want to be heard being too critical.
Even
now,
if they're in the privacy of your office?
even in the privacy of the office. I don't know if they think my phone is bugged,
Uh-huh.
but a person speaking in hushed
Yeah,
tones. No, I do see evidence that more persons are losing that fear. So that's a good thing.
Mhm.
And are speaking up, whether
Yes.
it be, on their social
Social
media
media.
accounts or anything.
Mhm.
So, and they encourage that. You should have a right to speak. You're not
Yes.
supposed to fear your government. If anything, the government should fear you because you
Precisely.
remove them when they're as incompetent
Yeah.
as this government has been, and when they have taken away rights, including we cannot let the people of Barbados forget that the government took away the right of thousands
Yes.
to vote.
2022.
But yes, persons do speak in hushed tones. There's a fear of victimization openly associating with the Democratic Labour Party.
Yes.
And that's a
Yes.
fear that should not exist. You should be able to express your opinion freely. And if you apply for a position and you're the most qualified person for the position, you should get it. It should not come down to whose friend you are or whose
Yes.
relative you are. But persons are afraid of identifying because they worry about, the implications for various aspects of their life, business and so on.
And Ensley, when we talk about fear, we have to talk about favor. And people who are afraid are seeing people who are retiring from jobs, and I don't mean to offend, but who are retiring from jobs, and because the ruling party favors them or they favor the ruling party, at the age of 67 plus, they become consultants. So I assume they're getting a pension doc and they're getting what, $8, $10, $15,000 a month. So along with fear goes favor. And if you show that you fear the government enough to support them, you may be rewarded with a consultancy.
of course. But only today I had a conversation with a constituent.
I thought you were going to say a consultant.
Almost did. Almost did. Whose house is in need of some repair.
Mhm, mhm,
She's made an application to Urban.
mhm.
The owner of the land had written in to give permission to
Yes.
have repairs done. But she's being told by a representative in Urban,
Mhm.
if you can get your MP,
MP.
to write a letter,
Yes.
you can get it
Yes.
done faster. Now, why that has to be that way?
Could be a lawyer, could be church pastor.
But your application is there. You
Yeah.
have the permission from the landowner.
Mhm.
Speaking, okay, it is okay.
Yes.
Go ahead and sort it out.
Yeah.
Why do it has to come
Through
down
the party.
to
Party paramountcy.
party
Party
paramountcy?
paramountcy.
Again, as you said, she's not a favored one, so she wouldn't
Right.
get anything.
Precisely.
So once you favor this government, then you get whatever you would.
Yes. Yes.
And
Thank you.
the
Yes,
great
sir.
the great concern for me is that level, that kind of governance can be extremely difficult to claw back from.
Mhm.
Right? It can be very, very difficult to claw back from.
Yes.
Where, as a party, we have to assure the people of Barbados that this is not how we will operate.
Mhm.
Because
Yes.
this is not
Yes.
normal.
Yes.
This is not how governance should be.
Precisely.
This is not normal.
It is
where
not
you
normal.
take care of your people only, or persons who swear loyalty. You're elected to govern and assist all Barbadians,
Correct.
regardless of color, class, creed, political affiliation. This is not normal, and we should not accept it.
Corey has sent some very candid and terse advice to the government. Just govern. Just govern according to
Sure.
the
Where you look out
principles.
for ordinary Barbadians and not just contributors or suspected
Precisely.
contributors.
Precisely. But I want to ask a question. Corey, you can come in on this one. Is vote buying, or does vote buying exist in Barbados? I smile when I ask, and the doc is laughing because he cannot believe I would ask that question today. Doc, you want to take this one?
No,
All right, let the doc recover from his hysterical laughter.
Vote by.
Vote by
Your
at
question
all
is-
levels
Right. Your question is there vote by
in Barbados.
in Barbados?
Yes.
This is what I would say. Our forefathers have fought too long and too hard
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm.
for the right for us to exercise that franchise to be able to vote.
Yeah.
Free and fair. We all know that there are rumors of that activity going on. For me as a politician and a first-time candidate,
Mhm.
it is not anything that will ever come near any campaign that I'm involved in.
Mhm.
Because I think as a matter of principle, I would be willing to lose a vote before I'm willing to purchase one.
Yes.
Because I believe very strongly at my core
Yes.
in the ethics of it. I believe, and I'm going to say this as Black people,
Mhm.
People whose ancestors and our lineage came from a time when we could not vote,
Mhm.
to the point where voting then was only for landowners,
Yes.
to a point where here in 2025, we should be teaching our children what is the gravity and understand what is the importance of being able to exercise that right
Mhm.
as a Black person in 2025 in Barbados. So
Mhm.
does it happen? I myself have never witnessed it. I never give an account of something that I cannot verify.
Mhm.
Have I heard about it happening? Yes. And I would say to the voting public, it is nothing to participate in. It is nothing for any political candidate, whether B or D, in any political party that participate in purchasing votes, denigrates everything
Mhm.
that our ancestors and our forefathers have fought.
You have resisted it, and I really admire your moral position on it. But you've dealt with it at the very base and vulgar level, handing people money by the polling station or whatever. A road paved the day before election. This happened in St. James North, and it happened where I live in 2022. A road paved on the day before the election. In St. James North, a $300 given. So at governmental pseudo official levels, that's vote buying too, isn't it? No?
This is
Either.
my apologies. This is what I will say as it relates to your scenario.
Yes.
May it be road paving or may it be the $300 where people have to line up in trucks and
Yes.
post offices. And a voter posed this to me on Saturday.
Yes.
And one of the most interesting things to do in canvassing is to speak with a voter who is not outright in support of your party.
Yes, you learn
I find that a conversation with a voter who may not necessarily be declaring for your party is actually quite an interesting exercise.
Yes.
And I tend actually to spend more time with voters who are not outrightly supportive of your party.
Yes.
And to chat with them. And this voter said to me on Saturday that my opponent was doing things specifically to demonstrate that they are doing things. And that voter was intimating that therefore should the voter say, well, shouldn't I give your opponent my vote?
Yes.
Two things I said to them. I'll say it to the listening public now. Your vote is your vote. You can give it to anyone for any reason you so desire, and no one has to. Second thing is if there is a minister, or if there is a government minister or a member of parliament that is able to get the road paved in front of you, that is their job. They are supposed to do things for the citizens of Barbados, whether that's paving a road, whether that's repairing a street. Like that is what they are supposed to do. They have been put in power to do that. They have the resources to do that. I am not a government at this present time, so I can't pave nobody's road.
Precisely.
Does that stop me from competing for your vote? No. So to answer your question, let the government do what the government does and what they are supposed to do. But when it comes to your vote should not be tied to a road that they only pave a week before the election or a day before the election, that they have not paid for the last, well, I can't say 5 years, because apparently this government doesn't want to govern for 5 years, but for the last 2.5 years. Your vote has to be more than that. And that's why anytime you hear me speak on my leader or I have the opportunity to address voters, I take on the posture of educating voters. Because I want to educate the voters to the extent that even when the road is paved the day before election or the week before election, you already have in your mind's eye all of the issues and the policies that you are willing to cast your vote for. One of them may be paid to, but another one maybe, can I go to the supermarket next week and spend $100 and be able to feed my family for a week? One of the issues, can I send my school child to school? Can I give them more than one uniform? So there are many issues beyond a road being paved. And I think our voting public, sometimes they are taken for granted.
Yes.
Because the politicians think that they don't understand. So I say to you, let them pave the road because that is their job. But you vote based on your convictions and based on the issues.
And it's the people's money.
And it is the people's money.
Doc, what does one say? Look, the government's policies have impoverished people. And we cannot sit here and criticize an impoverished man or woman for accepting $300. We really cannot. But I know you take moral and very Christian positions. What do you say? What do you say to a person in those circumstances? He gets the road the day before, he gets the $300 the week before. What do we say to him?
You made a very valid point. The $300, the payment of the road, the money used to do that belongs to the people of Barbados.
Precisely.
Is their money.
Precisely.
When the government gave $300, I said to many persons, this is your money.
Correct.
This is your money.
Go and take it.
But either way, they had already figured out how they were going to get it back from you.
Of course, you
Remember. The
remember.
land tax bill
Yes.
was out a couple of days before the 300.
And the fuel tax, was it?
Fuel price
Yes.
went
The
up.
very next day.
The very next day, they had
Yes.
already figured out how to get your money from
Back
you,
from you,
having
yes.
put it in your possession for just a
Precisely.
few short hours.
Precisely.
That said, when you get those short-term benefits, gifts, and you consider the bigger picture, you still have to deal with the fact that the $300, for example, it really is not going to go very far. Barbados ranks among the highest in terms of cost index. It is well known we're an expensive jurisdiction and have only become more expensive under this administration. We are among the lowest in terms of purchasing power.
Yes.
Okay. And that is under this administration again. They have raked in more tax than any other administration. That tax, by the way, didn't drop out of the sky. That comes from the same individuals
Precisely.
who they're offering things to in exchange for a vote. So yes, you may get a benefit. You may get some money in your hand there and then, which I personally am not going to do that, state that. But over the next 5 years or 3 years, 3.5 years, when you look at what you have to endure under this government, it really, isn't worth giving them your vote.
Yes.
Having only loaned you some of your money for a short time.
Precisely.
In the name of buying your vote. With regards to the question earlier of whether it happens, I personally have not been approached, but I listened to a broadcast less than 2 weeks ago, online broadcast where an individual said yes, they were given money, and we've heard many such testimonies. The rumors are there. I even heard of persons trying to take advantage, and this I heard from a candidate in a general election where when a list of a collection of ID cards came to that candidate, and when they checked, these are from individuals who had already voted, just looking to see if they could get money from the other side. So the rumors abound, and I have heard many persons publicly say, yes, I have received vote, but it is wrong. It is repugnant.
Ensley, we're going to have to take the doc canvassing with us in the field so that
You can hear.
he's introduced to these matters. But that people are so grateful to receive these payouts, the $300. Doesn't that indicate the hardship that the same government has imposed on people's lives?
It does. And how long does it last? Because the $300 matched against their expenditure and the things that they have to do.
Yes.
The $300 is nothing.
Yes.
But because people are in such dire straits and dire need, that they will go towards the and it may have an influence on them to vote other than how they may really have wanted to.
Yes. I looking at the question of money again, all three of you gentlemen, and you've been a wonderful panel, really, really good panel. I want to come to the issue of campaign finance reform. we know, I mean, we're going to be frank, wealthy people who put money into parties, the parties in turn put that money into the hands of constituents in some form or another. And we all know what happens. Even the poor people in Barbados know what happens. That those wealthy people are then rewarded when the party becomes the government. Now, they tried it in the United States, Korea, a few elections ago with the super PACs. They tried campaign finance reforms. So as a means of taking ultimate power out of the hands of the wealthy. Because we know, you don't have to be any communist to know this, that you live in a system in which ultimate power is with those who put millions of dollars into political parties. And so to erase that specter, which really undermines your democracy, because here you have people voting, but the persons with the real power are the people who are supplying the money to the party, which becomes the government. So that is a situation that becomes undemocratic. Should we therefore be looking in Barbados at campaign finance reform? And I know when we had a previous prime minister around here, I think he may have hinted, let the taxpayers fund the parties to eliminate these hidden influences from controlling the system. Some views, gentlemen, campaign finance reform. Ensley, you're staring at me. And the doc wants to say, who's going first?
Let the doc go.
Let the doc
I'll
go.
For me, the quick, easy answer is yes. There
Yes,
should
campaign
be
finance reform.
campaign finance reform.
Yes.
I would even say as a matter of urgency.
Urgency, yes.
Too much money has gotten involved in Barbadian elections.
Yes.
Too much
Yes.
money has gotten involved. And I don't just mean campaign finance reform from the point of view of what candidates spend and how they declare that. But what about what the party spends? The millions, for example, that were spent by this governing party in the past two general elections. Where did those millions come from? Millions, thousands, tens of thousands, millions.
High-powered campaigns.
And then we see decisions that clearly aren't in the best interest of the Barbadian mass population. We wonder, quid pro quo.
Precisely.
Nobody gives you $500,000 without expecting anything in return. I'm not aware of any real life Santa Clauses.
Precisely.
So that you do have to consider, the actions then taken that clearly don't appear in the best interest of the masses, were these in the interest of persons who contributed to a campaign, so that a gift may not necessarily be a gift when we see certain decisions. So there absolutely should be, with regards to whether taxpayers should fund the elections. That is something that I personally would agree with from the point of view that it would ensure there's a cap on election spending.
Yes.
And obviously with strict safeguards to ensure that that is what the campaigns from the major parties, from the other parties spend, and not a penny more.
Right.
Could be difficult to police in terms of the bags of cash that we hear of being dished out, behind the scenes. But from a point of view of candidate spending and party spending, clearly, the governing party spent millions of dollars in the past two general elections. Where did that money come from? I assure you, it was not cake sales and car washers.
Yes.
So, decisions then clearly that are in our best interest have been taken, and you do have to ask questions about possible connections between sources of that funding and those decisions that have been made. We need serious campaign finance reform as a matter of urgency.
Excellent. And Ensley, in the aftermath of elections that are conducted in that manner, as is the situation now, the people become poorer, and coincident with that is the emergence of a few very, very, very wealthy people.
Yes. And also, the people talk.
Which ones talk? The benefactors, the one that give
the
money?
Poor ones.
Or the poor ones talk?
The poor ones talk.
Yeah.
We don't know the benefactors who get the big contracts. But in relation to what you were asking, is that campaign finance reform, it then gives that level of transparency.
Yes.
Among the voters, they then have a level of transparency because they would not see that the government or this particular party is pandering to the big business,
the big financiers,
to their detriment.
Mhm, mhm.
So if it is a level playing field, as we can say, across the board, then we wouldn't have to wonder to that extent as to this government favors this body. Well, what is it? Who pays the piper calls the
Yeah,
tune,
yeah,
right?
yeah.
That would be rooted out.
Corey, I'm wondering if people know this. I think they understand the two relationships. They understand the relationship between the wealthy and the political party, and they understand the relationship of dependency between the party and the person whose vote they're buying. What are we going to do about this?
I believe that it is a difficult question. And I think the face of politics in Barbados is changing right before our eyes. We all know that campaigns take money.
Money.
They do. But you have a situation where that has now almost become a behemoth, where,
Oh yes,
as Dr. Wickham says, it now looks and appears as if more and more money and resources are being poured into political campaigns. And we can only speculate as to who and what the favors are. We can only speculate. I do agree with Mr. Dr. Wickham that the reform needs to happen. As with all reform, it needs to be carefully managed because, as you pointed out, in the United States, the attempted campaign reform, where the Supreme Court ruled, and then they formed what is called the super PACs, political action committees, and yet the rich and wealthy found ways around, found loopholes around that.
Yes.
Because part of the law in the United States is that the super PACs that may support a candidate are not supposed to coordinate with the campaign. And it's really more form more than substance, right? So it doesn't my concern would be for, again, the Barbadian people, in that you don't want to do reform or say that you have done reform, but you've not really made any substantive change in what's happening. I think the key to this, to be honest with you, is it may be required to be incremental. And as I mentioned earlier, I believe that the integrity legislation addresses part of the problem.
Yes.
Because, again, we can only speculate where the favors and the kickbacks come. And I think in that instance, you're able at least to stem some of the ill-gotten activities, or the activities that result in ill-gotten gains of the party. So I believe there can be incremental change, but we want to make sure that it's change that makes it.
Yes. Yes, thank you. And I wanted to move quickly. We're running out of time, but I need to get this one in. One of my favorite topics in political discourse has to do with this issue of service, the demise of service on the part of politicians, and the emergence of celebrity. Look, we've assembled a panel here this evening, and hello again to Verla. Men of substance. You get a sense, Doc, that the other party pushes this thing about celebrity. You come to politics not for the sake of substance, and issues of character are not important, but you're a celebrity, so you go into the public domain and you just prove that you can dance, or that you can. Issues of personality. This is something you have been observing. This obsession with being a celebrity, and if you're a celebrity, you're a politician, and vice versa. If you're a politician, you ought to be a celebrity. And the question of service has been relegated. You've been seeing this?
I have observed it. For me, for my personality, celebrity.
That's not going to work with you.
not interested. My profession, I just want to help persons.
Service.
Service. The thing is, the celebrity in and of itself is not the sin. These folks are incompetent.
Excellent.
They're incompetent.
They're incompetent. So the celebrity is a prop.
It's a prop. It's a prop. They're incompetent. We spoke earlier in this discussion about the pieces of legislation.
Yes.
They can't or won't give us a price for.
So the celebrities are incompetent.
The celebrities are incompetent. It wouldn't be so bad if you were competent, but they're incompetent.
Corey.
I would say this. I'm not much for the celebrities, to be honest. What I would say is I repose my confidence in the Barbadian people.
Yes.
I have met enough voters over there who see the celebrity,
Mhm.
but at the end of the day, the celebrity of the politicians is not going to put food on it.
Excellent.
So I have confidence in the common sense and intelligence of the Barbadian voter to know that anybody could get on as much planes as they want, all the pomp and the pageantry. But at the end of the day, Barbadians need leaders
Mhm.
who are doing and engaging in policy, engaging in governance that affects Barbadian people's lives positively, affects their children's lives. I'll give you a perfect example.
Mhm.
I know we're just out of time. But the Honorable Member for Christchurch East, when asked about the same issue about the impact on the labor market of an influx of citizens
Mhm.
into Barbados, his comment was, "Oh, well, you could go find
Yeah.
a job in
Go along with your business. Mhm.
I only raised that issue because the celebrities are so tone deaf.
Yes.
They're so accustomed to their own celebrity
Mhm.
that they become tone deaf to the
Yes.
Barbadian people.
Yes.
You imagine saying to UB graduates, university
Yes.
graduates,
Yes.
who, as people would say colloquially, were born and bred in Barbados,
Yes.
that we as a government are ignoring policies to give you an opportunity or at least give you an option
Yes.
if you want to seek employment somewhere else or if you want to remain in Barbados. We are not going to do policies to take care of you, the Barbadian people who voted for us.
Mhm.
You now could go and work somewhere else. So Barbadian people, don't worry about this. These celebrities will aggrandize themselves and enjoy their own company.
Mhm.
But for you, the voters, it is about service to the people, and you are able to have the litmus test as to if these celebrities are really interested in you.
Well said. I know that St. Michael East will not be voting for a celebrity. Ensley Greenidge will be a man of service.
Grainger.
What did I say,
no.
Greenidge? Ainsley, this is Greenidge. For the record, please put the camera on Greenidge. This is Greenidge. This is Grainger. Ainsley Grainger.
No, I don't believe in the celebrity part of it. I am a humble person from humble beginnings.
Yes.
And let me say my journey into politics
Mhm.
is to serve and not to be served.
Right. Right.
It is only about what I can do
Mhm.
to uplift some man, some woman, some boy, or some girl in this country. St. Michael East, and by extension, Barbados, whoever they may be, color, class, or creed, it does not matter. And I want people to see the candidates of the Democratic Labour Party in that light. We are not about celebrity status. We are here to serve the people of Barbados.
I think we should let that be the final word. That's why you were so good on Sunday night.
Thank you.
Doc, you want a final word? Why should people vote in the next election?
I think people should vote in the next election because the quality of life that you live and would live in Barbados in ensuing years would significantly depend on that decision. We have a government currently that has shown their tone that as far as people's concerns, the number of pieces of legislation that they have bungled, the high cost of living, the low purchasing power, the crime situation spiraled out of control after they propped up criminals
Yes, indeed.
with thousands of your taxpaying
Yes,
dollars
indeed.
per month. These are things that we should not in any hurry forget. A government that knowingly disenfranchised thousands
Mhm.
is not
Mhm.
something to easily forget. This is a government that has shown over and over that except for the occasional party to distract when it comes to bread and butter issues and listening to the people before taking action, that it's either incapable or not too interested in doing that. And so that I urge all persons to let your voice be heard. Let your voice be heard. I know persons will have their reasons where they may not want to vote, have not voted in recent past, but the stakes are fairly high as it stands at the moment.
Thank you very much. Corey, you were accepting Ensley's as the final word, or you wish to give us a final word? You've been so eloquent tonight. I like to hear you, you know.
I will actually join Ensley Grainger and endorse him. I'm going to take the opportunity
Thank you.
to endorse
Thank
him.
you. It's most eloquent.
Ensley is one of the candidates of the Democratic Labour Party that humility is definitely his calling card.
Yes.
And he is not the only one. And I listened to him on Sunday night, and I saw a man of integrity speak to the people in that constituency. And I echo his sentiments then, and I echo his sentiments now, that we are candidates that we are interested in the well-being of the Barbadian people. Celebrity status it doesn't put food on the table.
Mm-hmm.
We are a set of candidates that we are prepared to join you, leader Ralph, in the next government. We are a set of candidates that we believe in what you are trying to do in Barbados, and we stand behind you, and we stand prepared to serve the Barbadian people.
And we all stand with the people of Barbados. Barbados is in the midst of a very, very deep crisis, socially, economically, politically, and ethically. Our institutions are in severe crisis, our country is in severe crisis, and we can only humbly say to you that we offer ourselves as a party with a difference that will be a government with a difference. Please, when the time comes, come out and support us. We come to you as honest voices for the people. Good night, and God bless you.
voting, vote them out. Vote them out. If it is that frustration does make you want to shout, when you're voting, vote them out. Vote them out. Before they misuse out, deep out, sell out and digs out. If it you who vote them in, vote them out. Register and vote them out. All of them, vote them out. Stain your finger and vote them out. Them on the system, vote them out. Vote them out in Scarborough and in Port of Spain. Let's put our country together again. Vote them out in Komodo and in La Romaine. Let's put our country together again. People must come first, citizens by right. None of we are worse, yellow, black or white. Food, shelter and clothes, free movement and speech. A garden that grows, and one love for each. If it is that injustice is what they always show, when you're voting, vote